Hello and welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about a topic that millions of Americans have been waiting for: financial relief. As you may know, the Biden administration has approved $55 billion in student loan forgiveness, which is a historic step for those students who are struggling with debt. However, what does this mean for other forms of financial aid, such as Social Security and Supplemental Security Income, SSI? After many promises made by Joe Biden, the people eagerly anticipated him to fulfill them, and finally he has. In this video, we'll be delving deeper into what his approval means for millions of struggling students with debt and other issues, including SSDI veterans and others on fixed income who are waiting desperately for much-needed relief. Financial support. If you've been struggling with student debt, you know how much of a burden it can be. It's a financial strain that can last for years, if not decades. But now with this approval, you may have some help and some hope. The Biden administration is considering this, so stay tuned because we've got some exciting news for you. However, we must not neglect those on fixed incomes, such as seniors, AIDS survivors, and people with disabilities, who also urgently require financial support. Let's explore this approval in greater detail and consider other factors, then discuss how we can't promote increased financial aid for those in need. Debt ceiling crisis is a crucial issue because it affects it the most. To ensure that the government can continue to pay its obligations and prevent a potential recession, the Biden administration has been working on when the debt ceiling is reached. The government is legally prohibited from issuing any more debt to fund its activities. Is reached. The government is unable to borrow additional funds until the cap is raised. Many people are waiting for financial aid, including the projected $200 monthly boost for those on fixed income and the federal stimulus check, as Joe Biden and his staff have been working feverishly to address this issue and avert a financial crisis. The proposed $200 monthly increase for those on a fixed income is crucial for millions of Americans who are struggling to make ends meet. This increase could provide much-needed relief to those who are barely making it, especially during these difficult times. However, these measures have not yet been approved and people are still waiting for relief. Federal stimulus funding might help individuals pay their bills, put food on the table, and maintain their houses. The administration is making every effort to have these measures authorized as soon as possible since they are aware of how urgent the situation is and that people cannot wait any longer to receive financial aid to prevent a possible recession. The debt limit dilemma is a serious matter that needs to be solved very away. However, many are still waiting for financial assistance and the anticipated $200 monthly boost for those on welfare, despite Joe Biden and his staff's diligent efforts to guarantee that all bills are paid and the economy remains stable. Federal approval of fixed income and the stimulus check is still pending. The current announcement shows that the Biden administration is aware of the seriousness of the situation and is working diligently to give relief as soon as possible. The Biden administration's announcement that it has approved $55 billion in student loan forgiveness is a historic move in the right direction for. Given the current financial situation, which is plagued by epidemic inflation and other problems, and the millions of students who have been battling with debt, this support is desperately required. Despite being a tremendous accomplishment that will allow millions of students to exhale in relief, it also begs the question of why other financial aid for seniors, veterans, and others isn't being provided. While the student loan forgiveness program is a noteworthy accomplishment, it's crucial to keep in mind that it only tackles a small percentage of the financial difficulties that many Americans are facing, such as seniors on fixed income. Veterans and others with disabilities still struggle to make ends meet and require financial assistance. These groups of people need assistance in order to afford basic essentials including housing, food, and health care. It is troubling that the Biden administration has not yet granted more financial aid for these groups, which raises concerns about why they have not been given priority. It makes sense that loan forgiveness for students. Advocating for additional types of financial help for seniors is crucial because it's a pressing issue, but it's also critical to make sure that other groups are not left behind. Veterans and those who are disabled, these groups need assistance now more than ever because the current economic situation has made it harder for them to get by. It's time for the recent announcement by the Biden administration approving the $55 billion in student loan forgiveness is a significant achievement. But it also begs the question of why other forms of financial assistance for seniors aren't prioritized by the government and given to them in order to survive. Veterans and people with impairments who are students have not been approved. Forgiveness of debt is essential. Prioritizing the needs of other groups and giving them the support they need to survive is crucial. So why not increase financial aid? Undoubtedly a big accomplishment, the administration's recent pronouncements granting the $55 billion in student loan forgiveness will assist millions of students in managing their debt. However, this clearance also begs the crucial question of why alternative forms of senior financial aid aren't offered. While it's clear that student loan forgiveness was a pressing matter, it's as necessary to prioritize the needs of other groups that are trying to make ends meet: seniors on fixed-income VA survivors and those with disabilities. Some of our society's most vulnerable individuals are survivors and people with disabilities, and they need financial aid in order to purchase necessities like food, housing, and healthcare. The government's priorities and commitment to assisting those in need are called into question by the fact that these groups have been disregarded. Most currently, while forgiving student loans is important, it cannot be the only priority. The government must also take into account the needs of other groups and give them the support they need to survive. It is time for the government to give seniors, veterans, and people with disabilities priority and give them the financial support they require. Among other things, this help may come in the form of monthly cash aid, healthcare benefits, and tax breaks. Whatever form it takes, it must be sufficient to assist those groups in getting by. A noteworthy accomplishment, the recent passage of the $55 billion in student loan forgiveness, nevertheless raises concerns about the government's priorities. Prioritizing the needs of other vulnerable populations, such as the elderly and the disabled, and giving them the financial support they need to survive. I'm fighting for financial support for seniors, because it's time for the government to act and do what's right for all of us. Campaigning for financial help for senior citizens and others with fixed incomes. Income is essential, particularly in these trying times. Pandemic inflation and other economic problems have made it difficult for many people to make ends meet, and seniors are among the most vulnerable groups. The government must act and approve a bill that increases the monthly income for those on fixed incomes. Hunger, poverty, and homelessness. There are actual problems that require actual solutions. It is insufficient to only offer one-time aid to seniors who struggle to pay for basic requirements like housing, food, and healthcare. We must address temperature management and eco-friendly incentives in order to help elders maintain a respectable standard of living. In order to ensure that we don't neglect one group for the sake of another, it is crucial to strike a balance between environmental concerns and the needs of our seniors. As a result, we must speak out in favor of financial assistance for seniors and people living on fixed incomes. Calling on our elected officials to prioritize these groups' needs and give them the support they need to survive is something we must do. To make our voices heard, we can write letters, make phone calls, and take part in peaceful protests. In particular, we must advocate for financial assistance for seniors and people with fixed incomes. The government needs to enact a bill that offers continuing assistance to those groups to address problems like homelessness, poverty, and hunger in order to make sure they can maintain a respectable quality of living. We need to establish a balance between environmental issues and the needs of our older citizens and urge that our political leaders take appropriate action. It's time to give our people's needs priority. The Obama administration has approved the $55 billion in student loan forgiveness, a significant achievement in providing financial assistance to millions of students struggling with debt. But it raises the questions of why other financial assistance has not been approved for seniors, who are among the country's most vulnerable citizens, and give them the support they need to thrive. Yes, as well. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you on the next one. As advocates for folks on fixed incomes, we need to campaign for additional financial aid, as these are significant concerns that affect millions of Americans. Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy our broadcast.